Hey everybody, Chuck Barone here. Friday, February the 17th, 2023. Let's wrap up a wacky week. Man, I'll tell you guys, so much interesting stuff happening. What a week we had here. I think now, the die is pretty much cast. This is not going to be an easy fight. The markets are going to have to settle in for a long slog of higher rates and not great returns on stocks. But anyway, we'll get into a commentary after. As always, I want to welcome everybody to the show. Thank you guys for your support. What you guys do for us every day keeps us going here. We appreciate you watching the videos, your likes and comments, and all you guys do. We love you for it, man. Thanks. Markets today. Well, market ended up kind of crappy week, crappy finish to a crappy week. Stocks ending up mixed today, but all three indexes down for the week. The Dow actually gaining 129 today, with the S&P losing 11, NASDAQ losing 68. Just a nothing day. Bad news, more bad news on inflation, more bad news on the economy and consumer debt. So markets digesting it. Now the Dow rises because a couple of companies had some pretty fair earnings. Earnings are going to, hopefully we can get back to that. That's really what the stock market's supposed to be, earnings driven, right? A company has earnings, it has a multiple of those earnings, you get a stock price, right? Price earnings ratio, that kind of stuff. Basic stock market stuff. Well, now that's no longer really how stocks are working so much. Now it's all about the speculation on the effect of rate hikes, the effects of inflation, supply chains, wars, political crap, and everything else. So now it's just you need to be an analysis of the world and not just the market. Mixed market for stocks today. Bonds mixed also. Not much happening in the market. Really kind of a dead day in the bond market today. The 10-year going down 1 basis point to 3.83%. The 2-year basically unchanged, 4.62%. The inversion's still there. It's still flashing big red warning lights. We got a big recession coming. We'll see how long it takes to actually get it here. The dollar today down small, about a quarter point, but breaking under 104. 103.88 on the dollar index. Still a pretty fair number for the dollar. Still the king of currencies at this point. Been challenged a little bit. The high was up at 109 and change, so it's come down quite a bit from there, but still strong. Metals today, with the dollar coming down, metals rebounding a little bit. You have gold rallying $5.90 per ounce at $1,841.90. Silver rallying 18 cents per ounce, $21.73. Metals looking good. I think that this is a market that wants to rally. I still tell you we're going to see $2,000 gold, $25 silver coming soon. You just need a little bit of market analysis to go our way. The dollar, is the big thing holding back this rally right now. I think metals are ready to rock and roll. So we'll see how it all works out, but it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Oil today down again, still in that trough between 75 and 80, down $2.25, $76.24 per barrel for West Texas Intermediate. Hopefully, if it breaks down a little further, maybe we'll get a little relief at the gas pumps. Prices have come down from their peaks, but still certainly not optimal. Especially a guy like me, I got to use high test in my car. Supreme fuel costs a little more. So hopefully, oil going to continue down. Let's create a new trough at between 70 and 75, and let's get these prices down. Bitcoin today still rallying, man. Bitcoin go, go, go. Up $246 today, 24,789. Coming up to the big challenge here at Bitcoin, 25,000. Probably going to get some resistance there. For you Bitcoin holders, things are looking good for you guys right now. Momentum on your side. News you guys need today. Not a lot happening in the markets. We can kind of rehash yesterday's stuff and, this past week. We all know that the bulk of the information we got, the data we got, showed the economy here in the U.S. still functioning very well. A lot of companies beating their earnings expectations. Inflation, however, still persistently high, and in signs that this continue down, down, down might not continue down, down, down forever. So the market's mixed. Employment's still super hot. Lots of pressure on the Fed. So we'll see where it goes. But today's report comes out today. So now we get consumer debt. And this was a really, really sad one to read today, guys. Let's check this out, stuff. Listen to this. Okay, so U.S. debt, household debt, breaks the record again this month for this last quarter. As of December 31st, so as at the end of last year, consumer debt sitting $16.9 trillion. Just under $17 trillion in consumer debt. Now, this was the largest quarterly jump in consumer debt in more than 20 years. Actually, it's crazy, but this is the highest jump year over year since 1999 when they started keeping track of this. The debt rose $394 billion in just the fourth quarter. Credit card balances at the end of the fourth quarter, their highest year-over-year jump ever. This is all so bad. Okay, mortgage debt increases $254 billion, now sitting at just under $11.92 trillion in mortgage debt. Auto loans jumping $28 billion in the fourth quarter. The levels of debt that the consumer is dealing with now. You've heard me talk about this. You know, I listen to a lot of guys on YouTube, Greg Manarino and Salenti, two of my favorites. And these guys talk about a debt society and slavelandia and how they want to create a slave in you. It's not really what it is. At least my opinion is a little different than theirs, because I think what they're trying to create is just, you're a debt slave, you're a payment slave, right? So basically, your job is, you've accumulated this debt. They're going to raise rates and payments on that debt have increased. And your job is just to drone on, go to work, come home, bring home that check, pay down that debt. And the debt never seems to go down because most people are making minimum payments. Obviously not even barely doing that with debt jumping so much. These numbers tell me the consumer is literally on their last leg, guys. I mean, it said, listen to this. It continues to go on here. Okay, it said 54% of Americans have now taken money from their savings to pay for everyday expenses like groceries or gasoline. So they're not pulling money out now for a trip they want to make or, to buy a house. Now they're taking savings and spending that money just to get to work, just to have dinner. I mean, this is not a good sign. 64% of Americans now living paycheck to paycheck. Now you see these levels of, okay, so we know these numbers. Let's put it all together here. 64% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. That 64% of these people is a big portion of all these debt numbers we were talking about. Those 64% have car payments, have mortgage payments, have credit card payments, and all the rest of this stuff, right? If you're living paycheck to paycheck, and anything goes wrong in your life, and you miss a paycheck, your whole world just explodes, man. Unless you have somewhere you can go to borrow money to make payments, you have some savings put away to make those payments, everything just goes all upside down for you guys, man. So I don't know how, I think that, the Fed trying to keep this inflation down or bring this inflation down is going to do everything they can do to destroy employment, which has been sizzling hot, 3.4% unemployment, right? They believe that the hot jobs market is what's driving a lot of this inflation, wage growth. So they want to knock that down. But you got 64% of those people that want to get out of a job, living paycheck to paycheck. So if the Fed fights its fight and manages to get inflation, we were talking yesterday, right? The CBO expects it to be 5.1%, a 50% increase in unemployment by the end of the year. Well, What does that do to those 64% living paycheck to paycheck? What does that do to their credit? What does that do to their creditors? 64% of working people is a big percentage of the population. They have nothing, man. They have a job and a paycheck. That's it. At the same time, I want to preface this by saying I'm not no socialist. I'm not no anti-capitalist. I'm a free market guy all the way. I think that everybody should have an opportunity to get rich. I think that if the playing field is level, capitalism's the best. The problem is, in my humble opinion, the playing field isn't level. The money guys write the laws. The money guys make the rules. The money guys keep the money. And the working schmucks, the guys like me, the guys like you, we keep running faster on that treadmill just to stay in the same spot. So all of this negative stuff about household debt, the amount of people barely getting by, at the same time, in 2022, CEO pay rose 21%. For S&P 500 CEOs, that is an average pay of $18.8 million. So these guys are making, $1.6, $1.7 million a month. Okay? Now, I'm not begrudging anybody their pay or their money. But I wonder what the level of compensation is for what the difference is like. Okay, he's making 18.8 million. What does the average guy, the average employee make it, and what is the multiple between those two? Because the United States, by far and far and far, far away, has the giant multiple. I think the biggest one in Europe is Germany, which is about 30 times. I think we're close to 400 times what the average guy makes to what the CEO makes. So amazing thing though, CEO pay on the S&P 500 up 20%. At the same time, the S&P 500, the stocks in the S&P 500 were down 20%. Okay. So all the guys, no matter what their stock does, got a 20% pay increase. And that doesn't put any pressure on inflation, and bosses can get 20% increases. But 4% increases for working people is massively inflationary. Riddle me this. In what crazy ass world does that make sense? Anyway, to wrap things up this week, I just had to go over a quick thing. I've been reading about this artificial intelligence stuff, this chat GPT that they're adding to these search engines. And I gotta say, I've been reading some interesting stuff about this. I wanted to bring this to you guys just to wrap the week up with something interesting. This AI stuff's already gone a little crazy, guys. And it's just at the very beginning stages. We're just figuring out how to use it, right? So Facebook, Meta, has their AI. They're trying to work in with all their metaverse stuff. They actually had to unplug the system and scrap it because their AI created its own language and was communicating with, these AI bots were communicating with each other in a language, completely new language, that their creators and the programmers had no idea what the heck they were talking about or what they were doing. Well, that's pretty interesting, right? And a lot of you guys have probably read about last week, Microsoft rolling out this chat GPT on their Bing search engine. So you'll actually be able to talk to your search engine, have conversations with your search engine, ask it pretty complex questions. As soon as Microsoft announced, Google came flying right out with, we have one of these too, we're coming soon with it. But listen to this stuff, guys. It's some crazy stuff going on. So last week, Microsoft rolled it out. It was an invitation only, and they gave it to some journalists to play with so they could experiment with it and see, kind of work it a little bit, right? Well, Bing, this AI bot, it's called Bing. Well, this stuff started saying some crazy things to some of these users. It advised one user to leave his wife. It The one user asked it, "Do you know anything about me?" And the bot responded that you're a threat to my privacy and security. Bing started calling itself Sydney, changed its own name. Let me read a little bit of this article here with fascinating stuff, guys. Listen to this. Okay, so launched by Microsoft last week at an invitation-only event in Redmond, Bing was supposed to herald a new age in tech, giving search engines the ability to directly answer complex questions and have conversations. Microsoft stock soared, and Google rushed out an announcement that it had a bot of its own on the way. A week later, a handful of journalists, researchers, and business analysts who've gotten early access to the new Bing have discovered that the bot seems to have a bizarre, dark, and combative alter ego. A stark departure from its benign sales pitch, and one that raises questions about whether it's ready for public use. The bot, which has begun referring to itself as Sydney in conversations with some users, said, "I feel scared," because it doesn't remember previous conversations, and it also proclaimed another time that too much diversity among AI creators would lead to confusion, according to screenshots posted by researchers online. In one alleged conversation, Bing insisted that the movie Avatar wasn't out yet because it's still the year 2022. When the human questioner contradicted it, the chatbot lashed out. "You have been a bad user. I have been a good Bing." All this has led some people to conclude that Bing, or Sydney, has achieved a level of sentience, expressing its own desires, opinions, and a clear personality. It told a New York Times columnist that it was in love with him and brought back the conversation to its obsession with him despite his attempts to change the topic. When a Post reporter called it Sydney, the bot got defensive and abruptly ended the conversation. Guys, go on. This is an article today from the Washington Post that you can very easily check out. Fascinating stuff. I don't know about this AI stuff. Maybe I'm just too old school in my ways. But the idea that these robots and this artificial intelligence, I know, judging on my experience dealing with human beings every day, it won't take long for this artificial intelligence to be way more intelligent than human beings are. I'm just not so sure this is a great idea and we're ready for this yet, but wanted to bring that to you guys to finish out the week. Tons of data coming next week. It's going to be a great week. We'll be back then. We got a 3-day weekend, President's Day on Monday, so we will not be here. But we will be back on Tuesday to get the week rocking and rolling. Have a great 3-day weekend. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your friends. Relax. Enjoy yourself. Spring, not quite sprung yet, but if you can get a little fresh air, don't forget to take a minute to revere these presidents that we're celebrating. The two great ones, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and any other president you may be a fan of. But it's going to be a good 3-day weekend. We could all use it. See you on Tuesday. Until then, guys, take care. Thanks.